I have an autoimmune disease that causes my body to make arthritis in my hips, back and chest. This is important for later in the story. I take a biological immune suppressor to stop my body from making the arthritis. 2 years ago I was in a car accident when a semi-trailer truck ran a red light and hit the side of my work car. The impact herniated 2 discs in my neck and has caused nerve damage which leaves me with about 20% use of my left arm. I'm left-handed. I have recently been accepted to have surgery to fix this problem, remove a piece of my hip and use it to fuse my C5 and 6 vertebrae together. But in order to have the surgery my immune system can't be suppressed, so the neurosurgeon has instructed me to stop taking my immune suppressor medicine for the 8 weeks before my surgery and then for another 8 weeks after the surgery to allow my body to heal. I have not had any medicine for the last 6 weeks and I am in constant pain because of it. My wife has an online store and I am a professional photographer and videographer, so she has set me the task of creating all the content for the new line of products in her store. For the last week I have been working 10 hours a day on this project and pushing through the intense pain of the arthritis and also the nerve damage. Tonight we had a big fight because she is sick of me always showing how much pain I am in and not hiding it. She said things like a real man wouldn't complain about pain or how sick she is of constantly seeing me in pain trying to be a victim. She called me a lazy idiot for needing to spend time laying down after working all day on her content for her store. I told her that there is nothing I can do about the pain until I have my surgery and then I will be able to rehab and get back to my life. She said the way I am acting is making her depressed and she doesn't need or want a sick husband. Am I the idiot for not pretending I feel no pain and for not working hard enough during this period? Screw that woman. Get your surgery, get a lawyer, and tell that woman to back off out of your house or sell it if it's a marital asset. The normal response to someone you love isn't "I'm tired of you being in pain, you're hurting me." It should be "Sweetie, stop doing too much. You're gonna hurt yourself." She should be trying to protect you from yourself and your injury all the way up until you are healed. This person is entitled as hell and thinks they're more important than anyone else. Obviously, I don't know your entire situation, but from that small snippet I would never want to meet this person. Not the idiot, but you may want to consider marriage counseling. Your wife is verbally abusing you and maybe the two of you need to learn a better way to communicate. I am by no means letting her off for her behavior, but she may need counseling to deal with caregiver burnout. Chronic pain is such a drag and it's possible that she's internalizing your pain and it's causing her stress. If she gets pregnant, just say a real woman wouldn't complain about pain. Anytime she's suffering or tired, just say a real woman wouldn't complain about being tired. A real woman stays in the kitchen. A real woman treats her man to a sandwich at his request. A real woman is submissive and quiet, since she wants to perpetuate harmful toxic stereotypes. I'm tired of these type-hating negative stereotypes when it benefits them. You're NTA for experiencing pain, because if you parried back any of those comments back at her, she'd be angry NTA, but she most certainly is. I, 30, have 3 younger half-siblings through my mom. Because my mom had primary custody I grew up with them, and I was miserable, because my mom has the siblings always share mentality and I would be punished if I didn't want to. This was mainly an issue because only 2 of us have the same father and whenever each of dads gave us something and the others wanted it, we would be expected to share. Because my dad was the most active in being a parent and had more money, my siblings always went after my stuff, sometimes without even asking, and I could never do anything about it without getting punished. There were times I didn't even get to play or use the things that my dad gave me because it wasn't my turn, and if my siblings broke or damaged it, my mom would shrug it off because things happen and just tell my dad to buy me a new one. This made me so angry because not only did I feel like I could never have anything nice for myself, but my dad couldn't always afford to get my replacement. He had more money than the other dads, but he wasn't rich. I remember being my happiest when I was with my dad and wanted to stay, but because he lived in another state and had a crazy work schedule I could only be with him in the summers. Not only that, but I was made to feel bad if I ever voiced my displeasure living with my mom because she was a single mom trying her best and I was always provided for and never physically harmed, so I should just be grateful. It wasn't until I was 16 that my dad became fully established enough in his career that he was able to have a more flexible schedule and was even able to move closer to me. He said that I was now at an age where I could decide it and said that he would welcome me with open arms. So when I went to visit him during a long weekend, I just never went back. It wasn't necessarily planned and my mom was upset, but I just didn't want to go back and my dad didn't make me. After that I've been in low contact with my maternal side, only really seeing them on Thanksgiving, and for years they swore my dad turned me against them. One day my mom was complaining about how low down my father was and something in me broke. I told her that my dad may not have been perfect, but he was the better parent because he respected my autonomy, and that it was her fault I didn't care about having a relationship with her other kids, while I'm close to my older sister through my dad. Now I'm getting chewed out. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I've never got this share everything approach or just replacing what gets broken. It doesn't teach autonomy or responsibility for actions. At 16 you did what you're perfectly entitled to do, chose which parent you wanted to live with. As you get older you may choose to have more contact with your mom and other siblings, but that's your choice, and no one should make that choice for you. When you were a child and completely under her control, she forced her opinions and decisions on you without consideration for how you felt about it. Now she can't do that anymore, and you can express what you think. If she doesn't like it, too bad for her. All the complications of having a blended family was her decision as well. Nobody made her go chase men or have more kids instead of just raising you. Did she think that the only person who should pay the consequences of her selfish decisions was you? You were honest. She wasn't a very good parent in that she didn't teach important fundamentals, autonomy, respect, etc. She was very lazy in how she acted and doesn't seem to have put a lot of individual focus on her kids. Your dad was able to provide all that for you. The reason your relationship with your siblings is strained sounds like, at its core, is because of her lack of parenting. My dad lives with his wife and my stepbrother who is my age and my baby half-brother. We each have our own bedrooms, but I have learned that I can't really keep anything over there because it just disappears. Even hygiene products or extra pairs of underwear disappear. I don't know what happens to them, and no one ever seems to know, but they get mad when I get mad. Stuff I take is gone. I hate going over there because their house is always freezing cold. Even in the summer my dad has the air conditioner cranked. I told my mom this a few weeks ago, and she gave me an extra blanket to put on my bed at my dad's, and I hid it in my overnight bag. She just told me to make my bed there like normal, and no one would even notice it was on there, and it wouldn't be bothered. Last Friday night I got to my dad's, and when it was time to go to bed, the blanket was gone. I asked where it went, and my dad said my stepbrother was cold a few nights before, and he took it off my bed to give to him. I was so mad. I said that I am tired of never feeling like I am at home there, because I can't have anything that belongs to me. My dad said, "You're a selfish brat, and in this family we share." But he went and got the blanket from my stepbrother's room, and it was really gross. Like, body fluids gross. I'm not stupid, I know what was on there. I was even more mad, and my dad said to wash it and get over it. But it was like 11 p.m. and I had a soccer tournament the next morning early, so I didn't want to stay up and wash it or lay awake shivering all night. My dad and stepmom went to bed, so I called my mom, told her what happened, and she picked me up. My dad didn't even notice I was gone until 2 the next p.m. when he called yelling at me for leaving because he needed a babysitter for my baby half-bro. I told this to my friends, half think I am the idiot for leaving and getting mad over a blanket, and half think I am not the idiot. For what it's worth, I did leave a note, my dad didn't read it, and the visitation is not a formal legal agreement. Not the idiot. You should be able to expect a reasonable amount of privacy at your dad's. No wonder you don't like going over there if you can't have a basic level of respect. If your dad was so concerned about your stepbrother, he should have given him a blanket off of his bed. That is what parents do, especially if kids are cold because of their decision to keep the air conditioner up. Your dad owes you an apology and a lock on your door which only you have the key to. Especially if you can't even keep underwear over there without them going missing. As a mom, I don't even want to imagine what the hell is happening to them. The whole post was a clear not the idiot, because you should be able to feel welcome at your home, and that right was taken away by your possessions being stolen. Your dad was being an idiot by claiming in this family we share, which is obviously a one-sided concept. And to top it all off, he admits that he was going to force you to babysit, displaying his true ulterior motives. glad you're back with your mom now. Your mom needs to step in now. This is not about a blanket. This is about not providing an appropriate living space for a child and stealing from your mother because she is paying for items they take and that is not their property. Your dad expecting you to wash your blanket he took for your stepbrother would be the end for me if I was your mother, much less didn't notice you were gone until 2 p.m. the next day and was only mad because he needed a babysitter. I think dad needs a 6 months time out. Not the idiot to you. I, 25, recently married my husband, 32, after dating him for 5 years. My husband has a 13-year-old daughter who he has full custody of since his ex is not in the picture. We all live together, along with my boxer, who I've had for 6 years since he was a puppy, which means I've had my boxer for longer than I've known my husband or my stepdaughter for. My stepdaughter has made her disdain for my dog very apparent. Me and my husband have had in-depth conversations with her about her issues with my dog. I want to make it clear that my dog is very well trained and has no behavioral issues whatsoever. I believe this is owed in part to the fact that I have taken the dog to training school since he was a puppy. My stepdaughter says that she just doesn't like my dog since she is more of a cat person. I've offered to not get another dog after my current dog dies until she moves out if it would make her more comfortable. However, taking him to a shelter isn't a viable option since I think we all know how elderly dogs aren't the first to find homes and it's unfair to rehome a dog who's known me all of his life at the age that he is. However, my stepdaughter has been insistent on the fact that I rehome my dog. Things took a turn for the worst in August. I got up one morning to find the back door open and my dog missing. I ran out and luckily, I was able to find my dog since he hadn't gone far from the house. When I got back, my husband told me that his daughter had purposely left the back door open in the hopes that my dog would get lost or possibly worse. I was angry to say the least. Things got pretty heated and my husband eventually decided that he would send her to boarding school, which I agreed with since we both felt like her behavior was completely out of line. My stepdaughter recently started her first term and has been phoning my husband and begging him to let her come home, which he has refused to do since he thinks she needs to learn a lesson. His sister phoned us after this to tell us that we're disgusting people for doing what we're doing and that I should go as far to rehome my dog for my stepdaughter since I should prioritize her feelings first. Am I the idiot? Everyone's the idiot here. 1. You've rehomed your stepdaughter over the dog and think that this is reasonable. 2. Your husband rehomed his daughter because she is acting out, which is likely because she's having to adjust to having a stepmother, a dog, all the issues with her mother's own abandonment probably resurfaced, and she's 13 all in one. Forget trying to be a parent, off she goes. 3. Your stepdaughter is behaving terribly for whatever reason and was cruel to the dog. No one asked her to interact with the dog. The only not the idiot in this story is the dog. Her behavior was so far out of line it requires serious intervention and consequences. Intentionally setting a dog up to get lost, hurt, or even killed is not run-of-the-mill brattiness. She's 13, old enough to fully understand the consequences of her actions towards an innocent animal, and you. If her dad thinks boarding school is the right choice for her, I think that's totally fair. I do hope you also have her in therapy. You're the idiot. Instead of dealing with a stepdaughter's behavior through therapy or some other means, you guys send her away. So all she has learned know that you are not to be trusted. Leaving the door open was obviously wrong and could have ended badly. But you could have found help. The girl is already dealing with her bio mom not being in the picture, having her dad see someone else, and having a dog whilst not liking dogs. She needed all of your help, instead you gave up and showed her the dog is more important than her. I, 28, have been dating my girlfriend, 29, for about 8 months. Very recently she received a major promotion from her work. This was highly competitive and she didn't expect to get it and she was naturally very excited when she got it. When she came over to and told me about it I told her, that is so awesome. I'm taking you out tonight to celebrate, my treat. We first went out to a casual, but sort of nice and sort of expensive local seafood restaurant to eat. She not only ordered just about the most expensive thing on the menu, but also a really expensive dessert. Okay, fine, no problem. I kinda feel as if most people would have been a bit more modest, but whatever. However, after dinner we went out to a bar to have a drink. We were going to have just one or two and then go home. However, her friends ended up showing up and it turned into a bit of a party. She ordered her friend several rounds of expensive shots. The particular shot they were doing included Crown Royal, which was about $40 per round. The night left me broke and I had to put my groceries and bills for the next couple of weeks on a credit card. I didn't say anything to her that night because she was in a great mood and I didn't want to kill her buzz, but the next day I did mention to her how I thought that she got a little carried away and shouldn't have spent so much of my money. After a little back and forth, it turned into a big fight wherein she ended up throwing literal cash at me to pay me back. I told her that I didn't want her money, just that I didn't appreciate being taken advantage of. I know that I offered to treat her to a night out on me, but I think most people would hold themselves back a little more under those circumstances than she did. Am I off in that thinking? You're the idiot. You could have just told her what you could afford and stopped paying for her friends. I understand you didn't want to kill her buzz that night, but you were the only one who could have stopped spending money you didn't have. If anything at all becomes a problem in a relationship, you've got to speak up to get it resolved. I bet a lot of her anger at you comes from the fact that you didn't do this and then are blaming her later when she can't do anything for not just guessing you needed her to spend less. We can't count on other people to set boundaries for us if we're not willing to do it ourselves at the moment. Ordering an expensive meal and dessert when you are brought out to celebrate a huge accomplishment is normal, and your attitude towards that alone makes you the idiot. When you were at the bar and she was offering shots to her friends, you willingly paid for the round every time. You didn't communicate any expectations for the night and continued to pay for rounds of shots. It would not have been a big deal had you said, "Hey, I can't afford to pay for all these shots for your friends." The conversation could have ended there, but you paid for them and blamed it on her. This whole situation screams that you lack self-awareness. Not the idiot. I understand the annoyance about ordering the most expensive thing on the menu. My parents would give me an earful if I got the most expensive thing on someone else's dime. But that's your girl, so you let it slide. But the idea that she would then volunteer your money for other people is rude as hell. If she responded to a reasonable conversation by throwing money in your face while she's sober, I'm sure she would have been delightful if you mentioned it with some booze in her system and in front of her friends.